This is Andy Gutierrez from StarWars.com, and you are listening to Coffee with Kenobi with Dan Z. This is the podcast you're looking for.
This is James Arnold Taylor, and you're listening to Coffee with Kenobi. I have a good feeling about this.
Oh, hello. Well, I don't know where the video went, but here we are. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to CWK Live. This is your host, Dan. They're thrilled to be talking Star Wars with each and every one of you. Let's bring in all of our friends. We've got Minta. This is the way. It's CWK Day. Hello, Minta. Jason is here, and he says hello there. By the way, check out the new shirt. It is the Obi-Wan Kenobi shirt that just went on sale on Star Wars Celebration, or during Star Wars Celebration at Downtown Disney in Disneyland. So we've got the Obi-Wan Kenobi one. Pretty cool. Very happy Monday to you. Hello there to Anthony King. Tyler is ready to talk about this new episode. Fantastic. Blake says, hello, my CWK family. What an eventful few weeks we've had. That is for sure. And Brian says, this is the Monday you were looking for. I like that, Brian. Anthony says, love the legacy lightsaber behind you, Dan. Yeah, that is Leia's lightsaber. I've got quite a few of them, but I need to display them properly, and we're working on that. And Christina is here. Hello, Christina. Hi from the UK. Hello, Christina. Good to have you on the show. Well, on this week's show, what have we got here? We have got something really, really cool. We are going to talk about your top 5 moments from Obi-Wan Kenobi Part 3. You've got Star Wars news and your comments and questions. Yeah, tonight's episode is really going to be something because we get to talk all about Obi-Wan Kenobi Part 3. Lucasfilm and Disney released some amazing images today. There's one of the more notable ones that I had to grab for the category image because, oh my goodness, pretty spectacular. So now let's take a look at what is brewing in the world of Star Wars this week. He has The Last Dance on in the background and is here in the CWK live show. I do like that. That is very, very cool. Speaking of cool, there he is, LJ Sauter. What's up, LJ? Good to have you on CWK Live. So, what's brewing this week for the Obi-Wan Wednesdays? You may have seen this. The pre-orders are already on, but I wanted to at least spotlight some of them. This is the Black Series 6-inch Darth Vader. And I feel like I say this a lot, especially recently. But as much as I try to just stick to the retro figures, I don't buy too many of the Black Series, but this one is awfully cool. I mean, look at it. That Vader figure, as Anthony said, is incredible, and it really is. It really, really, truly is. I really like kind of the fabric on the interior of his armor. Pretty cool. Christina is first time on the live show. It's 1 a.m. here. That's right. I think you're about 6 hours. If you're near the UK, I think you are, or near London, I should say. I think you are about 6 hours ahead of me. So we appreciate you joining us, my friend. Okay, let's see. I know I've got some other things here. Anthony says, welcome, and Christina says, must get this. Jason says, hopefully you've had some good coffee. Well, yeah, that would be very good. I'm looking up a name here for you for the next image I'm going to show you, because I want to get it correct. You know, accuracy is very important, as you, of course, are aware. Let's see here. Wednesday. So how many people buy these things no matter what, by the way? When it's Black Series, you just snag them. I am not necessarily one of them to do that, but they look super cool, and you always get tempted to do it. You know what I mean? All right, well, I can't find the official name. That's just as well. I'm just going to go ahead and show you the next image. First, Blake says, I own a somewhat current Vader Black Series, and everyone needs a 6-inch Vader in their collection. See, that's the thing. The ones that I do have, I've opened. So I've got the new Ahsoka from Mando. I've got Din Djarin. I've got Empire Strikes Back Luke in his Snowspeeder gear. And I had a bunch of other ones, but I just gave them away. Because, I don't know. I mean, I like them, and I think they're gorgeous, but there's only so much room. You know what I mean? There's only so much room for all this great stuff. So let's go ahead and take a look at the next one. Luis says, hello, greetings, Kenobi. Incredible to see Vader really was. Josh is here too. And then Zach says, Black Series all the way. Hello, Zach. Zach is someone I chat with quite regularly on Instagram. So be sure to check out our Coffee with Kenobi Instagram feed. Okay, I finally found it. Good deal. All right, so we've got the next one. This is Ben Kenobi from Tiburon Station. This is primarily from the second part of Obi-Wan Kenobi. This is the Black Series one. I believe they had a vintage collection one as well. Pretty phenomenal. That blue tunic, I guess you would call it, with a really great robe. It's a really stunning figure. Again, this is one that is just so tempting. Christina says, my main thing is books and comics. I have thousands. I hear ya. I hear ya. Minta has quite a few Black Series figures. What's one more? Or 10? Well, okay, Minta. So do you have yours on display? Do you open them? I'm curious. Anthony is enabling and says, can always get a storage shed for more figures. Well, that is true. That is certainly true. Tyler has 3 shelves, top shelves full of Black Series. Going to have to carve out a section for the show. Tyler has an amazing collection of a lot of great figures, 6-inch. Josh says, we need to order that now. And he says, the pre-orders on Entertainment Earth. Hey, I think there might be a few left. I like Entertainment Earth. I've got an affiliate program that I have there. And Big Bad Toy Store's got some great stuff as well. So there's a lot of cool choices for you. And then the last one is the Funkos. If you are a Funko person, you've got 2 brand new characters right there for you as well. You've got Reva, of course, and then the other character's name is suddenly escaping me. I thought I should have written all this down. But, you know, it's hard. It's been hard to kind of catch my breath that are coming back from an amazing epic celebration. But if you're a Funko person, I think these are pretty fantastic. Josh has 2 display cases. Some are open, some are in the box. Christina says, my whole house is Star Wars running out of space for books and all Celebration art I picked up. Oh, cool. Very cool. Oh, yeah. Haja Estri. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I had it written down here, and I seem to have misplaced it. So Haja Estri is the character. I hope we get to see more of Haja. Ben says I might need to go get that Obi-Wan Black Series figure. It's really sweet. It's really cool. Minta has so many Funkos. The majority of them are Star Wars. And someone, I think it was you, Tyler, posted in the in our exclusive CWK Alliance Facebook group your Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Funkos, which is pretty cool. So there you go. Some great stuff happening right there. And you've got until, I believe, June 10th if you want to vote for the Kanan Jarrus lightsaber or whatever lightsaber you choose that you want to select. Blake says, the Kenobi on the Yopi Funko looks fantastic. If anyone is interested in more Funkos, I missed last week, so may have been mentioned here already. You know, that is a nice one. Blake, are you a big Funko guy? I don't remember us talking about that ever, so that's cool. All right, I think it's time. You've waited long enough. We've waited a really long time for something of this crazy magnitude of awesome. Top 5 moments from Obi-Wan Kenobi Part 3. Part 3 of Obi-Wan Kenobi was quite jaw-dropping, and you may have noticed today, if you subscribe to our podcast, I did a deep dive into Part 3 of Obi-Wan Kenobi with Tom Gross and Corey Clubb. There's a different image of that one before things go really, really south, but it doesn't take very long, of course. So if you want a much deeper conversation, a little more extensive analysis, then be sure to check out the podcast feed, episode 534. I released it actually today, Monday, June 6th. Christina wants to know if I've been to the Funko store. I've been to Hollywood a bunch of times. I've stayed down there right by the Funko store, but I've actually never been to the Funko store, which is probably a good thing because it would probably be too tempting to purchase more of them. So again, top 5 moments from Obi-Wan Kenobi Part 3. Let's go ahead and jump right in here. So this episode, again, I mentioned it on the podcast released today, was amazing. It was sometimes upsetting, and it really altered my thought process of both Darth Vader and Obi-Wan Kenobi. But let's start with something light. Number 5 for me is Leia and Ben. They have some really wonderful, touching moments between the two of them. He's very nurturing to her. At one point, she asks if he were his real father, and he says that he wishes he was. And I really like their connection, their chemistry, and I find it really charming. and you can understand why she feels so safe in A New Hope when the name Ben Kenobi comes up. Tyler's number 5 is Freck. It's kind of funny to see a character who buys into the Imperial propaganda. I also enjoyed it with Zach Braff, who voiced him. That's right. So if you're a fan of Scrubs, you may have recognized that voice, although I thought he did a good job of disguising it. But that would be number 5 for Tyler. Minta is number 5. Father, aren't you going to say hello? Hello. I still wanted the iconic hello there. Maybe next time. We talked about that on the podcast that released today, Minta, and I think, to me anyway, he's not relaxed, so he's not going to do the hello there thing. But I think we're all expecting it, so I don't blame you. LJ, Indira Varma as Tarma. I'm a huge fan of hers going back to Rome and Game of Thrones on HBO. She didn't disappoint in the episode. Yeah, she was really good. Hopefully we see more of her. Number 5 for Mary. The entire opening sequence, Ben trying to communicate with Qui-Gon, while we see Vader being assembled and walking out. The look on Ben's face explains it all. So that one, I feel like that's going to be the most popular one tonight, or one of, so we will see. Jason's number 5. Henrik, Darth Vader in general. And Jason's number 5, the rising suspense throughout the episode, which is definitely powerful. Ben's number 5, the opening scene of Obi-Wan processing the news of Anakin and meditating to commune with Qui-Gon. Obi-Wan has never felt more relatable to me. Oh, that's cool. I'm glad, Ben. Really glad to hear that. Zach's number 5. The way Obi-Wan was so paranoid and Leia was so calm. It's very true. It's definitely true. Blake's, same as Tyler, the mole alien, loves seeing how normal citizens of the galaxy found some comfort in the Empire. It is crazy, right? But, many of us can be persuaded by a lot of different things. Brian's 5, the loader droid, so loyal, yet so very quiet. Yeah, very metaphorical there, that loader droid. I really like that as well. If you didn't chime in yet and you want to give a top 5, number 5, go ahead and let us know. We're going to move on to number 4. Number 4 for me is the duel itself. Now, I'm sure a lot of you have this a lot higher, and that's totally fine. This could easily be a number 1. I go into great detail on the podcast that was released today. My thoughts on this duel, but it was spectacular. It looked good. The menace was very, very real. I thought there was a lot of narrative power in this. It wasn't just about a duel with lightsabers. Exquisitely done. Exquisitely done. I'm going to talk about that a little bit more later, too. Josh is number 5, Reva, strutting through the Inquisitor stronghold. Great presence. That is for sure. That is definitely for sure. Tyler's number 4, Ned, the droid. He gave me silent Baymax energy, but was ready to bring the hammer down if he needed. I see what he did there, Tyler. That was very clever. Literally and figuratively going to bring the hammer down. That was cool. And the Baymax is a good comparison. Minta's 4. The chemistry between Kenobi and Leia, you can see how comfortable she is with him, knowing that she's in good hands. That's right. LJ's 4. Watching Kenobi breaking under the stress of finding out about Anakin surviving. It looked like he was being crushed by the weight of the realization early in the episode, even leading him to snap at Leia multiple times. It's true. It's like he takes his anger out on her a little bit. Number 4 for Zach. Hope. The way how the rebellion is already forming and pushing back. I like that too. You can't help but think about what's happening with Rebels. Well, even though that's a few years down the road in the timeline. Jason's 4. Obi-Wan's description of the Force. Feeling like the safety of turning on a light when you're scared of the dark. A terrific explanation of the Force to a 10-year-old mind. It's pretty great. I'm definitely going to talk about that later for sure. For Henrik's number 4, the stormtrooper who boards Fenric's truck actually being nice to Freck. Yeah, that was kind of fun to see that they're not all bullies, but there's some commonality in their sinister belief that the Empire, or naive belief that the Empire is out for good. Josh's number 4 is she has her mother's face. A really nice moment. Brian's 4, Obi-Wan has learned to handle a blaster, which is super cool. We see that a little in episode 2, but it's really on display here. Some great action scene here. Ben's 4, staying with the opening sequence. Vader getting dressed and how we see how banged up he is. He's definitely suffered over 10 years. I could really feel how much he's suffering living this way. Yeah, again, I talked about that a lot in the podcast that we released today, or that I released today. It's very noticeable how much pain he is in. You can understand why he's angry. Mary's 4, the ride with Freck. He was very interesting. Then the stormtroopers getting on the transport and how, let me scoot this over so I can see better, and how Leia just always seems to take charge. Ben's statement, I see her mother's face, is so heart-wrenching. It really is very nice. Blake's 4. I'll put the duel on my 4 also. I believe it's just a setup to a much more evenly matched fight later on. Shows how much Vader has grown in power and how much Kenobi has lost, being disconnected from the Jedi and the Force. Yeah, he hasn't used the Force for a really long time. Now he's facing Darth Vader at the peak of his powers. Mary says, Brian's so uncivilized. And Amber is here. Hello, Amber. Amber's number 5 was a loader droid. Very cool. All right, let's go ahead and jump into number 3. Number 3 for me is the lighting. Honestly, this could be numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. The lighting on this episode is tremendous. Absolutely tremendous. It's hard not to think about my oldest son, Peyton, because he works in the movie and television business, and he sometimes does things with lighting. I can't wait to pick his brain about this, but especially in the desert duel, the way the lightsabers illuminates them, there's managed to be balance and shadow and nuance with Vader. It's just really great. So from a cinematography perspective, the lighting in this episode is really, it's like a master class in storytelling. I absolutely loved it. Mantis 3. A brief description of the Force. I love how Kenobi describes to Leia using the analogy that the Force is like turning on a light in the darkness. It makes you feel safe. It's a great one. Amber's number 4 is Freck. Okay. A lot of people seem to really like Freck. I found him really frustrating because of what happens. Josh is 3. Leia's look of pure terror while being held at blaster point by the stormtrooper. The acting draws you in, and Kenobi saving Leia is another reminder why she named her son Ben. Ah, that's a cool point. I like that. I hadn't thought about that before. Really good. Tyler's 3. Leia taking the lead. Leia steals most of the scene she is in. Her taking the initiative and telling their story to Freck and the stormtroopers were great. Yeah, I agree with that. There's so much groundwork there for who she's going to be. Amber's number 3, the Jedi Underground Railroad. Yeah, hard not to think about that. I noticed that as well. Jason 3, Ewan's portrayal of Obi-Wan's fear and horror at seeing what Anakin had become. And Henrik's number 3 is Freck! Exclamation point. LJ's number 3 is the duel of Kenobi being helpless against Vader, just showing how out of tune with the Force he is. Whether it's being an unwillingness to fight Anakin or just not being able to find himself in his new role. Also, Vader is just brutal with his strikes. Can't wait to see a rematch. It's going to be interesting. Zach says, you're totally right with the lighting for 3. For Zach is Quinlan Voss and the hint of the Jedi Order and how some have survived and found their way out. That was cool. I know our buddy Ross Halliburton was really excited when he heard Quinlan Voss mentioned. Number 3 for Blake. Seeing how there was an underground railroad being used for Jedi or Force sensitives and how Jedi we know are involved. A great setup for future characters and felt so grounded in reality based on our own history. Absolutely, Blake. Number 3 for Brian. The suspense. We were screaming when the troopers got in that transport. Yeah, that was very... The whole episode is extremely, legitimately nerve-wracking and suspenseful. 3 for Mary. Ben versus the troopers at the road check. Using the blaster, the trooper falling into laser across the road in his Wilhelm scream. Then we have the rescue. So much going on in this scene. It's really a powerful scene, Mary. I agree with you. Number 3 for Ben. Leia wishing Ben was her dad. First, she is so smart to connect the dots about how he knows her past. Second, it shows how she is struggling with the knowledge of coming from a broken home. They've done great developing these characters we already thought we knew. Well said, Ben. Well said, as always. I love everybody's list, and we got more people than we have in a while, so it's nice to see you all here. Number 2 for me, the Vader intro. Look, there were many images I could have picked from this episode, but when he finally gets the helmet on, you've got the red in the eyes. It's almost like the beginning of the Disney Plus stuff, but it's Darth Vader. Not only do we get to see Darth Vader, but the fact that he gets outfitted right away and he's prominently used in this episode was kind of a stunner to a degree, because I still think less Vader is more, so who knows how he'll be used throughout the rest of the next 3 episodes. But my, oh my, was that a spectacular intro. I mean, I think this is going to be one of the coolest, most used images of Vader we'll probably ever see in the history of Star Wars once it's all said and done. I really do. It was just amazing, amazing, amazing. Mantis 2 is Reva's determination. Despite that she has a heart of stone, yet to admire how she stays on target for her main goal. Hopefully she'll turn over a new leaf. Well, that's a possibility. Tyler, vision of Anakin, such a haunting and unsettling scene. The way he turned and his anger expression gave me chills, and you can tell that he's scarred under that robe too. It's pretty crazy. Number 2 for Mary, the Vader and Kenobi battle. The lighting and the suspense of the scene is masterful. I agree. I love it. Number 2 for Amber. Obi-Wan not being nearly as in shape as he used to be and being burned by Vader. How symbolic. Well, that's for sure really haunting. It is not an accident what happened there. Jason's number 2. Vader's menacing presence. It makes Anakin's story that much more tragic. Leia not listening to Obi-Wan's instructions when they approached Freck's truck. Yeah. Intense. LJ says, Quinlan, I fist pumped when I found out he was alive. That was kind of surprising. Josh says, Vader is a brutal murderer. Showed that the stakes are high. Yeah, the highest they could be, for sure. And Zach's number 2, the duel. Most likely not the last time we will see them dueling, but Vader making Obi-Wan suffer like him and toying with Obi-Wan. There's very much some cat and mouse stuff there. Brian says, number 2, the interaction of Obi-Wan and Leia. She has opened up to him since he saved her from falling. Yep, it's true. Their bond is nice. Again, in the detention center, when Luke rescues Leia, and she says, Ben Kenobi, where is he? And she moves quickly when she hears his name. You can see the roots of that trust through the series. Ben sees Vader just march through the town. It is so dark and scary that it left me on the edge of my seat and actually scared. That is just good storytelling right there. I agree with you. 100%. All right, I got to get my book out because my number 1. Let's go to our number 1. So the top 5 things we love about episode or part 3 of Obi-Wan Kenobi for me. Now this isn't necessarily the best picture. Actually, before I go into my number 1, I'll read Blake's 2. Blake's 2, Vader's entire sequence from him terrorizing the small town to the dialogue with Kenobi. It showed how heartless and brutal he has become. His line of how Kenobi should have killed him when he had the chance almost made me wonder if he's had a death wish his whole life since. Also dark but intriguing. I've thought that as well, Blake. I definitely have kind of thought that. All right. So number 1 for me, and this is the scene, the picture I have here is right before it's actually said. But I wrote it down. The Force explanation is my number 1. So Leia says, how does it work? What does it feel like? And Obi-Wan says, have you ever been afraid of the dark? How does it feel when you turn on the light? Leia says, I feel safe. And Obi-Wan says, yes, it feels like that. Reading this, absolute chills. Absolute chills as I'm sharing this with all of you. You heard it. When I saw that and listened to that, I knew it was special. I knew it was something we were going to be quoting and looking at and remembering for a long time. It's just beautiful. So in a episode full of darkness and evil and horrifically scary things, I mean, really, Vader almost does his best Michael Myers impression in this episode. The explanation of the Force and the light and not being chasing away darkness and making you not afraid, it's just lovely. So I love that one so much. Let's dive into your number 1s. Tyler's 1. Vader's death march, no words, just action. He kept that same Rogue One energy and would tear the whole town down to get to Obi-Wan. And all in honesty, everything Vader did in this episode was incredible. Yeah, he was something else. He was definitely something else. Luis, Vader says, Vader is fantastic. Not for nothing, he's the most famous villain par excellence in our galaxy. Oh, I agree. I agree, Luis. He's the best. Best villain. Mary's number 1, Ben and Leia's relationship. Their interaction about her mother. Ben saying he wished he were her father. Then a story about his family he only knew from passing visions and feelings. And Ben mentions, he says, I think I had a brother. So I'd say that's pretty big news. We'll see what happens with that. Mean to Vader, it's easy to forget sometimes how intimidating and menacing he really is. I agree. But now it's going to be hard to forget this, right? She says, from the moment he suits up and lands on the planet Kenobi and Leia are hiding out, to literally snapping the villagers' necks shook me to the core. And the encounter between him and Kenobi, my heart was pounding. What nearly broke me was this line, what have you become? And Vader says, I am what you have made me. And by the way, James Earl Jones and the filter they use for his voice, just tremendous. LJ says, number 1, seeing Vader's suit being attached. I once heard someone say Vader's suit was a tomb of sorts for Anakin. While it looked cool, seeing him entombed in the suit was sad to see. You can understand how the pain and anger manifests itself in the dark side. I agree, LJ. I talked a lot about that in the podcast we released today. So be curious to see what you think. Jason's number 1. Obi-Wan's self-sacrifice by sending Leia with Tala while he drew Vader's attention away from them. He knew a confrontation with Vader was likely, but chose that path anyway in order to protect Leia, the choice of a true Jedi. Hendrick's number 1 is Darth Vader versus Obi-Wan. Well, Henrik, that's a great one, my friend. Zach's number 1, Vader. Everything Vader. Enough said. From the castle and the fear that he brings even to the Inquisitors. Definitely. That's definitely present. Josh is number 1. Fixing Lola. Kenobi is part grumpy old man, but his core is still kindness. That's right. He can't help who he is. He's nice. He's a good man. Ben's number 1, the rematch. Obi-Wan is out of shape. Anakin is in his prime, and it shows. They really got the interpretation of these characters right. If this is Obi-Wan's low point, I can't wait to see how he digs out of it to become who we know, or as he says in Rebels, to see what he has risen above. Yeah, he's got a ways to go, but it's going to be a glorious rise. Brian's number 1, the emotions of Obi-Wan, the sadness with seeing Anakin, the hope of Leia, and the stress of running. Yeah, the emotion he feels as Vader shows up, and it's like the spiritual wind has been knocked out of him. I talk about that on the show too. Really incredible. Amber's number 1, Vader's brutality. Murdering innocents to heighten Obi-Wan's, making it easier to sense Kenobi. It's true. Blake's number 1. Kenobi describing the Force to Leia. Nothing in Star Wars aside from Yoda's lines to Luke in Empire Strikes Back hit me with such a personal and spiritual level as those few words did. That sequence alone sold the whole series for me almost. Yeah, that's why it's my number 1. I agree, Blake. It's so good. Minta's honorable mention is Freck, hilarious, and the mention of Quinlan Voss. LJ said, I haven't listened yet. I promise I didn't steal your answers. LJ, hey, man, I'm just honored that I thought of something that you did, so that's pretty cool. Ben, you can tell by the length of all our comments how much this episode hit us all. I love it. It's true. I don't even have Mason bring me water for this, but there's been a lot of things I've been saying because you all had some wonderful, insightful points. Mary, my honorable mention was Quinlan Voss. So cool they actually bring him in. Just to refer to him was great. Yes, it was really nice to see him in a canonical live action, or at least hear him mentioned in canonical live action was great. Well, it was great breaking this down with all of you. No surprise, next week, top 5 moments from part 4 of Obi-Wan Kenobi. So Wednesday, get your list ready. As you're watching, I guess you've got a week to do so, and then we'll break this thing down. So now it's time to jump into Ask Dan Z. Blake says, this group is the best, amazing discussions, everyone. Yeah, I feel really honored to be able to be a part of this and help lead discussion. I love chatting with all of you and seeing what you think. And again, every week, if everybody brings one friend, we're going to keep adding to our audience, because if as many people listen to this as do the regular show, look out. A lot of people, and I mean a lot of Star Wars fans around the world, are going to hear what you think about our topics. And I think that's so cool. One of the main goals of the show from the beginning for me was to give people a voice, give them a safe platform where they can air their opinions in a family-friendly, positive, spoiler-free place. So this is wonderful. Where did I see the Kenobi with the blue top listed? That was sent to me by Hasbro, but I believe it's on Entertainment Earth and Big Bad Toy Store, and probably even Walmart too. Christina, I'm probably the only Star Wars fan who hasn't seen any episode yet, but I'm home on the 92-inch TV. Just got home yesterday. Oh, Christina, you got to see it. Hope it didn't ruin too much for you. Jason wants to know if we'll ever do a top 5 of the Freemaker adventures. I don't know, Jason. That's a good point. I know Mason really likes those too. Do I have any predictions for next Kenobi episode? Well, Minta, that's a tricky one, my friend. But as you know, I don't predict. I don't anticipate, because one of my favorite things is expectation without moderation leads to fan constipation. So I don't guess, because I end up getting disappointed, so I either just kind of take it in. I'm just expecting to just have my jaw drop and say, I can't wait to talk about this with my friends at CWK Live. That's what I'm thinking. Tyler says, the only downside of Obi-Wan is having to wait a week between episodes. I'd say it's already in my top 5 shows of all time. Tyler, that's great. That is great news. How would I react if I was in town and Vader came marching through? I would probably run as fast as I could and hope I got to a bathroom pretty quickly. That would be pretty scary. Dan, what personal purchases did you make over at Celebration? So, Blake, I got the blue Celebration hoodie. I got this Obi-Wan Kenobi shirt. I got a 20th anniversary Attack of the Clones shirt. I got an Indiana Jones shirt and an Indiana Jones hat. And I think that's it. Christina loves the top 5 reviews. Well, thank you. Appreciate that, Christina. Amber wants to know when they're going to release the new Legacy lightsaber, the one we were voting on. I don't know. When I did the one before for Cal Kestis, I think it took a couple of months because they had to put it in production. When I find out, Amber, I will certainly let you all know on the podcast and in the CWK Cafe, our Facebook group. Ben says, I love seeing your wardrobe each day in the pictures. Where'd you get those jeans? So the jeans were sent to me by Levi's, I think in 2019. It was a custom one. There were like 8 patterns to choose from, and I selected that one because it had all the ships. I thought it was really, really cool. Josh says he would hide. Hiding is good if you can. Tyler wants to know if I'm excited for my presentation at the Riverfront. I am very excited for that. So thank you for bringing that up, Tyler. That is Saturday, June 18th. From 4:30 to 5, a book talk, and I will be doing a Q&A. And then from 5 to 5:45, we'll be doing a book signing. And then at 6 o'clock, they're actually going to be showing A New Hope on the big screen. This is one of the biggest screens in Illinois. So I can't wait. Cannot wait. That's going to be so much fun. So I hope to see a lot of you there. It's going to be a blast. And yes, Star Wars, I'm Your Father, my latest book, is out and available for purchase. It would make a great Father's Day present, I would say. What was my second favorite moment of celebration? Number 1 was hanging out with you. LJ, hanging out with you was a blast. An absolute blast. Anybody I got to hang out with, getting lots of laughs in, talking some Star Wars, and just being with your friends, being with people you haven't seen for years was wonderful. So, LJ, you were definitely a highlight, buddy. Christina wants to know, did I buy any art from Celebration? I actually did not buy any art. I didn't even make it over to the art section. It wasn't that I didn't want to, but between hosting the fan stage and then doing the podcast, a couple of author signings, then my own mythology panel, and then just talking to people, it was pretty crazy. Like, it was probably my busiest celebration, but perhaps one of my most special because of all the great things I got to do and all the people I got to spend time with. And honestly, without all of you that I got to spend time with, it wouldn't have been as fun. Wouldn't have been as fun at all. Well, hey, everybody, thank you so much for joining us here tonight on CWK Live. That music's kind of loud. I'm going to turn that down. So be sure to join us next Monday at 7 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time as we talk all about Obi-Wan Kenobi Part 4. Mary says, have a great week, everyone. Wednesday can't come soon enough. I know, just 2 more sleeps. We'll get to see Part 4 of Obi-Wan Kenobi. I cannot wait, and I'm sure you're excited too. Speaking of excited, I know Celebration is next year, but we've had this on the books for a while. In summer 2023, you can join me and MEI and Mousefan travel on the Galactic Star Cruiser at Walt Disney World. If you can't make it over to Celebration, but you still want to get your Star Wars fix with your community, quite a few of us are going to go on the Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser. I would love to have you join us, and once I get a date for when we can do that, I will let you know. Tom and Corey are going to be with me. Mason's going to be with me. It's going to be a blast. Meantime, may the Force be with you. Jason, I hope you have a great week as well. Tyler, thanks for the discussion night. I missed doing this, and it feels great. Tyler, it's great to have you, buddy. We definitely miss having you on the show, so it's great to have you. Brian says, always a great start to the week. Yeah, it's good to see you, man. Ben says, one of the best CWK Lives I've been to. Thank you all. Wow. Well, thanks, Ben. That is fantastic. Christina, thank you so much. Hope you get some rest. Appreciate you joining us. Daniel says, I'm going to get in gear and have a list for next week. Daniel, that would be great. I'm looking forward to more of your cosplay as well. Josh, great chatting with you, and again, great meeting you at Celebration. Blake, have a great week, everyone. And I hope LJ shows up to the Star Cruiser next year so you can have a beer with me in Disney Springs. That's right, man. It's going to be fun. Am I coming to London next year, Christina? I am not sure yet. I'm definitely thinking about it with the Star Cruiser and everything else. Some things have to come into play, but definitely something on my radar. Zach, may the Force be with you. Great to have you, and great to have all of you. We will see you next week. Thanks so much, everybody.
This podcast is not endorsed by the Walt Disney Company or Lucasfilm Limited. It is intended for entertainment and informational purposes only. The official Star Wars website can be found at www.starwars.com. Star Wars, all names, sounds, and any other Star Wars related items are registered trademarks and or copyrights of Disney and their respective trademark and copyright holders. All original content of this podcast is the intellectual property of Coffee with Kenobi unless otherwise indicated.
This is the podcast you're looking for.